Hello everyone, welcome back. This is video number 2 in our exploration of the Law of One teachings, otherwise known as the raw material. And today we're going to talk about the nature and the formation of the creation. How did we get from the infinity that we talked about in the first video? How did we get from the one infinite creator, this infinite intelligence, or this intelligent infinity? How did we get from there to here, and what were the steps in between there and here? So we'll try to break that down a little bit, and we'll start at the very beginning, and we'll describe through Ra's quotes how infinity became aware of itself and how it chose through free will to explore itself and come to know itself better. Okay? So the first quote, we're just jumping right into the quotes here. The first quote we have is Dawn asks, "Can you tell me of the earliest first known thing in creation?" Ra says, "I am Ra. The first known thing in the creation is infinity. The infinity is creation." So the second sentence here, the infinity is creation, it's a subtle point that I think is worth mentioning. If the first known thing in the creation is infinity, and then the infinity is creation, literally, we are infinity, right? Every living thing is infinity at its root, at its core, as we mentioned in the last video. Anything that's physically manifest has as its essence infinity. Now, whether we're aware of that or not is a different story, and that really speaks to the self-healing process, learning to become more self-aware, more self-conscious, more expansive in our awareness. And so Ra then says, or Dawn asks next, from this infinity then must have come what we experience as creation. What was the next step or the next evolvement? Ra says, "I am Ra. Infinity became aware. This was the next step." So infinity becomes aware of itself at some point. It realizes, hey, I'm me. I'm this. I'm this thing. I'm infinite. Okay. Questioner, Dawn, after this, what happened? Ra, awareness led to the focus of infinity into infinite energy. You have called this by various vibrational sound complexes, words, the most common to your ears being logos, or love. The creator is the focusing of infinity as an aware or conscious principle, called by us as closely as we can create understanding/learning in your language, intelligent infinity. So the creator is a focused energy emanating from infinity, and we would call this focused energy love, or the logos. So we've often heard, I'm assuming that many of us, if not all of us, have heard the quote, "Love is the most powerful force in the universe." And so it is. From this focusing of infinity, we have love. From love comes all things. All manifest things come from this energy quality Ra is calling love. Good. So Dawn asks, okay, can you state the next step? Ra, the next step is still at this space-time nexus in your illusion, achieving its progression as you may see it in your illusion. The next step is an infinite reaction to the creative principle, following the law of one in one of its primal distortions, freedom of will. Thus, many, many dimensions, infinite in number, are possible. The energy moves from the intelligent infinity first, due to the outpouring of randomized creative force. This then creates patterns which in holographic style appear as the entire creation no matter which direction or energy is explored. These patterns of energy begin then to regularize their own local, shall we say, rhythms and fields of energy, thus creating dimensions and universes. So this love that Ra talks about, the creative principle, the creative cosmic force we're calling love, it starts to just expand outwards. And at first it's completely random. It's just randomized creative energy, infinite in supply, going outwards, outwards, outwards. Now, at some point, again, portions of that outward expanding randomized creative energy, it becomes self-aware and it starts to gain its focus and an understanding of itself as its own self-conscious thing. Now, from these, then, they start to create patterns of energy, or what Ra calls rhythms and fields of energy. These then would go out and at some point would become self-aware. They then would start to create their own rhythms and patterns of energy. And from here, we start to go down the kind of hierarchy of creative, let's say creative forces. Okay, so we'll get into that in this next one here. Oh, first we have this, which is really, really amazing and lovely to me. Dawn asks, could you tell me how intelligent infinity became individualized from itself? All right, so how did this even happen? Why is this happening? Ra says, I am Ra. This is an appropriate question. The intelligent infinity discerned a concept. The concept was discerned due to freedom of will of awareness. This concept was finity. This was the first and primal paradox or distortion of the law of one. Thus, the one intelligent infinity invested itself in an exploration of manyness. Due to the infinite possibilities of intelligent infinity, there is no ending to manyness. The exploration, thus, is free to continue infinitely in an eternal present. And so infinity desired to know what it would like to not be infinity. It discerned the concept of finiteness. What would finity be like? What would it be like to have a beginning and an end? Because I'm infinity. I have no beginning and end. I'm omnipotent. I'm eternal. I am forever. I am neither here nor there. I didn't come from here. I'm not going there. I just am. So what would it be like to not be that? Boom. The separation, the individualization of infinity into something other than itself, its original form, begins to take place. Okay. And so then you start to get this kind of, the energy starts flowing outwards. Okay, we're going to go out and we're going to see what it would be like to not just be infinity. And so then the patterns start to form. Co-creators, what Ra calls co-creators, start to find their focusing and self-awareness. Oh, I'm aware. Oh, I also have free will. Oh, okay, I'm going to create this. Boom, 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 down the line. So Dawn asks, was the galaxy that we are in created by the infinite intelligence, or was it created by a portion of the individualized infinite intelligence? Ra says, I am Ra. The galaxy and all other things of material of which you are aware are products of individualized portions of intelligent infinity, what I just said. As each exploration began, it in turn found its focus and became co-creator. Using intelligent infinity, each portion created a universe, and allowing the rhythms of free choice to flow, playing with the infinite spectrum of possibilities, each individualized portion channeled the love light into what you may call intelligent energy, thus creating the so-called natural laws of any particular universe. Each universe, in turn, individualized to a focus, becoming, in turn, co-creator, and allowing further diversity, thus creating further intelligent energies, regularizing or causing natural laws to appear in the vibrational patterns of what you might call what you would call a solar system. Thus, each solar system has its own, shall we say, local coordinate system of illusory natural laws. It shall be understood that any portion, no matter how small, of any density or illusory pattern contains, as in a holographic picture, the one creator, which is infinity. Thus all begins and ends in mystery. So I kind of explained that one before we got into it, but just to reiterate, you have infinity, it becomes self-aware, it desires to know itself as non-infinity. Okay, the energy starts flowing out. As the energy flows out, the portions of that infinitely outward flowing energy find their focus, become co-creator. I'm going to create a universe, my own universe. Boom, the universe is starting to form. Within the universe, the energy starts to go outward from the core. portions of the universe then become self-aware. Boom. Okay. I'm within this universe. I'm going to make my own galaxy. Okay. I'm co-creator of this galaxy, and I will get to choose the patterns of energy or the rhythms or the so-called natural laws of whatever I desire them to be. Then within the galaxy, solar systems form. We have our sun. Our sun is a co-creator. It has formed the natural laws of our solar system, and we'll go into that explanation next. So Don asks, could you tell me how the individualized portion of intelligent infinity created our galaxy? How the planetary system that we are in now evolved? Was it all created at once, or was there first our sun created and then this planet was created? Ra says, I am Ra. The process is from the larger, in your illusion, to the smaller. Thus, the co-creator, individualizing the galaxy, created energy patterns which then focused in multitudinous focuses of further conscious awareness of intelligent infinity. Thus, the solar system of which you experience inhabitation is of its own patterns, rhythms, and so-called natural laws which are unique to itself. However, the progression is from the galaxy spiraling energy to the solar spiraling energy to the planetary spiraling energy to the experiential circumstances of spiraling energy which begin the first density of awareness or consciousness of planetary entities. So this is the hierarchy, right? From infinity, we come down, universes are born. Within the universes, galaxies are formed. Within the galaxies, solar systems are formed. Within the solar system, planets are formed. Once you reach the planetary level, Ra says the experiential circumstances of spiraling energy begin to create the possibility for consciousness on the surface of the planet to take place. And we'll learn next, in the next video, we're going to talk about the 7 densities of consciousness. We have 7 levels of awareness, conscious awareness, or let's say, just consciousness to move through in order to return back to a full understanding of our true nature. So I think that's a good place to stop for now. We'll do the 7 densities in the next video. And then I think after that, I'll do a little short aside side video just talking about Ra. What is Ra, right? We're quoting something that's calling itself Ra. I haven't talked much about it other than to say that it's an extraterrestrial group of souls from a higher dimension who are much more evolved than humanity, and they are attempting to communicate to humanity the teachings that will allow us to evolve and grow in the way that we need to in order to leave 3rd dimensional experience and move on to 4th dimensional experience. Now, I know some people will appreciate a little bit more knowing Ra. For me personally, I don't really care all that much about the source of any material. I care more about the purity of what's being communicated. And it wouldn't matter if someone said they talked to a turtle and this turtle told them all of this. I would still take it seriously because it just speaks to me. It speaks to the truth. And this feels the most right to me. So I'm really not one to focus too much on source, but rather the purity of what's being communicated. There's lots of channels out there communicating supposed high teachings. And I've spent countless hours reading all kinds of channeled material and religious texts, and nothing else speaks so clearly about precisely what is occurring and what has occurred in terms of the creation itself and kind of the evolution of consciousness. And I really like the Law of One, especially because it's not overly flowery. There's no stories to know. There's not a bunch of characters you have to memorize, and this guy's blue and that guy's purple and that one sits on the moon and this one's over here doing this. And then like in the Egyptian teachings, you have Ra, Horus, you have Isis. You got to know who married who and who did what, who rebirthed to. And it's like, just tell me what happened. I just want to know what happened. So, now, I don't judge anyone for choosing whatever method of learning about reality works best for them. And I certainly do understand that perhaps at the time that those original teachings were written, it was for initiates. It was for people who could understand already what was being said within the coded kind of terminology and the coded stories. So there's more to unpack in those, but they're all saying the same thing that Ra is saying here. But this is just so direct. It's just so plain. Here's what happened. Here's how it happened. Boom. I prefer that. Okay. Anyway, we'll be back next video to talk about the 7 densities. Okay. Thanks.